Hey there, I'm Alan Matthews, and in this video we are going to be talking about using a timer in your practice, your guitar practice, so that you can be more effective, more efficient, more structured, and ultimately get better faster. To begin with, let's talk about attention and how we learn. When things are unimportant, we block them out. When things are very low stakes, we block them out. This is just natural, the way that our brains work from when we were back on the savannah or whatever it was. Things that are unimportant to us get drawn into the background. So if we're not making things important in our practice, then we don't learn them as quickly. So if we can manufacture some importance, then we will learn faster. So when we then use a timer, what that does is it gives a time constraint, clearly, and it makes it urgent. It introduces urgency. And when we have something urgent, well, then we perk up because there's only so much time I have to do this work. So it creates this importance. So this is one of the best uses of a timer. It just keeps us alert and keeps us engaged. If you have all day long to practice, then limiting your amount of time to just a bit, so I can only practice for an hour, 2 hours, whatever it happens, 30 minutes, whatever it happens to be that you choose. If you limit it to that, then all of a sudden you can't just wander around and dink around and go off on a tangent because you only have a specific amount of time and you've got a lot of things to do. Likewise, if you don't have very much time, then you can say this timer and it's like, okay, I will give 30 minutes and no more because I need to, because I have other things to do. And so putting that timer on creates a container. It walls that space off from other things, and then you can say, okay, I can turn off my email and my phone and my alarms because I know that this is 30 minutes. Anything can wait for 30 minutes unless somebody's bleeding or something, which they can come get me, then I'm okay for 30 minutes, turn it off, and then really focus again. And then we can give our attention to that instead of managing all the other things in our lives for that amount of time. We can actually have a good practice. Timer's very useful for structuring the whole amount of time that we practice. Well, also within your practice, you can also use a timer, and this is where I think it really gets handy, to organize your time and to structure your time. So we have main areas of practice. We have our technique practice, our scales, and we have pieces that we're learning now. We have pieces that we're maintaining, our repertoire. We have tricky spots in pieces that we've learned, but we haven't quite gotten them up to where we want them to get yet. So we have all these different things that we do in our practice, and it can be difficult to get to all those, especially if you're really excited about the hot new piece that you're learning or something like that. Or if you really don't want to do something like, I really don't like sight reading practice, well then a timer can actually say, okay, well I'm just going to do it for 2 minutes. You set your timer, and then you know that you've got a container for it. Just kind of fold your ears back and do it for 2 minutes. For tricky spots in pieces, then you can limit yourself to just a couple or 3 minutes per tricky spot. If you've got 5 pieces you're playing and they each have 2 tricky spots in it, well then that's a couple of minutes a piece. That's like 20 minutes of your practice. You can go through every single tricky spot in all of your pieces, and so everything is moving up. When you do something for just 2 minutes a day with a lot of intention, a lot of focus, and then you do that every day for 2 weeks, it's amazing how you can solve problems in this way. Sometimes you just cannot solve problems in one practice. Sometimes you can. Oftentimes, it's really effective just to do this. Okay, I've got 1 minute on this thing, and then I've got a bunch of these. And you just go through, and then every single day you do that. So you can also use a programmable timer to structure an overall practice. So you can have, say you have an hour to practice, you could have your timer, you could program a timer, and they're all over. There's easily programmable app timers now. I have a beautiful one with Tibetan singing bowls that have nice chime that go off. You can program it to your heart's content down to the second. You can then have blocks of time, such as for an hour, you could have 6 10-minute sections, so that you just change what you're doing every 6 minutes, and you don't have to keep track of time because you know something else is keeping track of time for you. You can also, like with the details, you could set it and just have 10 2-minute bells to where every time you hear a ding, you just change. Boom, and you're right into the next one. Boom, you're right into the next one. Very useful. So what makes a good timer? Well, I like a programmable timer. That's really nice for planning a practice or having a few different practices programmed in to see what kind of, what you have, or different lengths of practices to keep you focused. You can also use, the problem with the phone is that it also has other apps. It has email and texts and all different kind of alarms and bells and whistles. So you can easily get distracted. And so a phone in general, I just turn mine off when I'm practicing. The world goes off I shut down my computer, I close my computer, I turn off the phone, and the world can go away. It can wait, right? It can wait a few minutes. That's the problem with the phone, but it's really versatile as well. You can also use a kitchen timer. You can use a watch timer, which I did in college. It was pre-iPhone, so you know, it wasn't even an option. But to have a watch with a second hand, I could set it by turning it and then pull the little thing. And so it was very easily set. I used that thing. I wore it into the ground. I actually killed that watch. It was I can't remember what it was, but it was a really nice little cheap watch. And it was great because 2 minutes, go. 5 minutes, go. 10 minutes on scales, go. And it was just right there by the practice space all the time because it was on my arm. So whatever kind of timer you use, I highly encourage you to use a timer or to consider how you're structuring your time in your practice so that you can get to all the things that you want to get to and you can see the improvement that you want to see because it just takes time. And just like pennies into a bank, it just rises as time goes on. So hope you've enjoyed this view on timers. Please subscribe to this channel. I look forward to seeing you in the near future. Bye.